Hi everyone, good morning. This is Colette. It is Tuesday, October the 1st. And today's video, I'm going to do a little bit differently when it comes to my review because there are a few things I want to point out to you guys and share with y'all. I've already kind of half done my brows. I didn't clean up on the top side. I have the eyes primed and ready. And so to begin the review video for the Naked Honey palette, this is going to be, I think, my final review for now, my official review, because I've been giving you guys little bits and pieces and my thoughts, but I want to put everything together and just let you guys know how I really feel about the palette and all of that. Okay, so I have used the palette, the Naked Honey, with a few different priming solutions slash base slash whatever. So I've used the Urban Decay Anti-Aging Primer. This is my all-time go-to favorite primer. I have also used their original primer to prime my eyes. Both of these work well, but I did find that when the shadow go on to the lid area, the crease is fine, everything else, the shadow grabs. But some of these shades, as you noticed in the videos that I posted previously, you have to like wet your brush or put a little bit of glitter glue on the lid for them to, pop a little more. But if you want them to be less obvious and just that nice shimmer that came straight out of the pan, then you don't have to do that. But you will have to make sure that your shader brush is something that packs on color really well. And one of those brushes is the MAC 239. You probably can find dupes for this in other brands. I think I don't have it in front of me directly, but I think Morphe also makes one that looks like this and performs similarly. So there's that. I have also used Morphe primer, and on top of that placed my MAC Paint Pot, which is another eyeshadow, and it picks up nicely on this as well, but I still had to stick a little bit of glitter glue on top of it just to make the shade I wanted to be a little more vibrant. A little more work than usual, but they do work. For today, priming solution I have going on is I used a little bit of the Believe Beauty concealer up under here to down to here on the crease, and then on the lid I use the Urban Decay Eden primer. Now if you don't have Eden, you can go in with the MAC Paint Pot or soft ochre or painterly on top of your lid to help the shadow to bounce a little more. Also, if you have, I don't know if some of you have Pure White, this is another paint pot from MAC, and it's just white. They sold this back in the day at the pro store. I don't know if you can get it regularly now, but I had mine. I bought it from a pro store in Orlando, and I like to use this to make certain eyeshadows pop beneath it, the same way I use the Laying Low. And just remember, these are eyeshadows. Don't put them on too thick or you will have an issue. All right, that being said, let's move on. Today's video may be a little bit of a longer video, but I want to be a little more thorough and in-depth for you guys. And I have a few palette comparisons here. So now let's open her up. This is what the palette looks like. You've all seen it. You can tell I've been digging in the palette because in order to have these shades show up vibrantly, I did have to dig in a little more. Come back here, brush, because I need to talk about you. So I like the formula Urban Decay did with this palette. These shades, they look, even the matte ones do give a little bit of kick up when you pick them up with your brush. However, that is to be expected. Why? They are very finely milled. They are smooth. If you guys like the Lorac eyeshadow formula, you will love this even more because they do pick up. They look a little bit dusty, and you may have a little cloud going on in the palette and looking all messy. I kind of cleaned off mine, but they do translate onto the eyes very well, and you just go in with your brush and they blend smoothly. I have not had a problem with any skipping or tugging, no matter which one of these priming options I used. So that is a good thumbs up. Now, the shades that look satin, like these two on the end, they are true satin shades. This one is Flyby, looks like that. Can you see that sheen? That is a real satin. My only gripe with this shadow is that it pulls more white versus a little more yellow. I think it could have pulled a little more yellow based on the fact that it is a honey palette. I think they could have, and I'm going to show you the Naked Basics, Ultimate Basics palette, this one. I think they could have put a little more yellow, the way, like done the same formula, but put a little more yellow tone to it like this one has. See, when you swatch this one, you can see a little more yellow in there, right? See the difference? This one is warmer. You know, it's just warmer, and I would have liked to have this color be that tone, but with the same consistency of the product. All right, so I think you understand what I'm saying with that. Sweet is a really nice color. I've used it under the brow bone as well. It is more of a beige, warm beige shade. Really nice for a brow bone. Some people could get away with this literally underneath. They could get away with this underneath the brow bone as well, because excuse me, I did put it under the brow bone, both of those shades, and they worked beautifully. So I'm just cleaning off my hand right here. Okay, so let's continue. The brush, let's talk about the brush a little bit before I go further and I forget. Urban Decay likes to give you these double-ended brushes. This one looks like a little bit of a chunkier shader brush to pick up your color. And then this one, it's a more flared out but rounded blending brush. You will find that in each of their palettes, the brushes tend to differ a bit. This one is from the Spectrum palette. I'm going to show you a few more. This one is from the Naked 2 palette. Now, if you don't have brushes or a bargain makeup person, you might find it beneficial to use these brushes. I have used them. This one is sturdy because I used it and I stuck it just so I can find it. But you notice they give you a packing brush and a shader brush. Now, it's up to you if you want to use it. Personally, I use them just to make sure that they perform and see how much I can get away with. But I really don't like using them. This is from the Naked Smoky, the brush in the Naked Smoky. Notice the end is different. And that's what the Naked Smoky is. But I think they discontinued this palette, so we're not going to talk about that one, really. I did use the brush a few times that came in the Naked Heat. Similar brush style. This side is not so fat. See, it's a different, like it's two blending brushes. This one is longer and thicker like the other one, and then a more pointed, rounded brush. And this one is from the Naked Heat. All right, so personally, I think they can get rid of the brush and just call it a day. I still have my Naked Honey. That's what she looks like. And as I hold up these palettes, you will notice that there are none of these colors that look like her. So if you collect Urban Decay eyeshadows and you really like Urban Decay's formula, and these are your tones and shades that you like to rock, by all means, go for it. I stand by that. Go for it. You can probably dupe all of those if you grab every palette in your collection and look for dupes, you probably could do that. However, I like a cohesive palette, one that I can just grab and everything is there. That's one of the reasons I still want the Viva palette, but let's not go there. Anyway, this is the Naked Reloaded palette. And so you can see, let's strap the brush out. Look, they don't look alike, okay? There are no repeats there that I am aware of. I just think that Urban Decay did a really good job making this a very cohesive honey palette. Now, the one thing I want to point out to you guys, one other thing, is that, oops, all these Naked palettes together, I'm not even going to put that there. Let me put their last Naked, second to last Naked palette, which is the Naked Heat. See, they're not the same. They are not the same. You might, if you're, like I said, if you're a collector, get this. If you're going to use these shadows and these colors appeal to you, get it. Because I have the ColourPop Honey palette. Let me just pull it out. And even though it says Honey, I bought this not because it's honey themed. I bought it because it's yellow and I've been wanting a very yellow palette for a long time. I have searched for years for a good yellow shadow. I've got that with this. Now, look. They're not the same, okay? They are not the same. So even if you have this one, this one is amazing. I love it. Love it. Would not trade it. Would not say I'm not going to buy it for any reason. I really like that little palette. However, this embodies the shade of honey. When you talk about honey, when you're going to drizzle honey on your food or in your drink or over whatever you're eating, or if you're one of them people who like to put peanut butter and honey and whatever on bread and eat it, when you think about honey, these shades, this is what it is. This is what it is. This is what it is. Those are shades of honey, really, in real life. And if you have like clover honey runs between these two shades. So when you see it in the bottle. So if you don't believe me, go to the supermarket, look on your shelf at all the variations of honey colors that you see there. And you have some honey that are so dark and rich, they kind of look like this. Very sweet, very natural, very nice. They're raw honey. So I really like this because of they captured the honey theme with this. Now, the last thing I want to point out when it comes to the shade Honey in this palette, the one that they named Honey, which is this one. I'm gonna pick it up on my finger. I do so hate finger swatches sometimes, but this is Honey, right? In the palette. That is Honey. That is the namesake. Now, Urban Decay has, can I remember the name of this palette? I don't remember the name of this palette. Do you still have this palette, guys? Yeah, mine looks a little jacked up and beat up because it's a very well-loved, it's traveled with me, it's done things, it's gone places, and it has this whole pretty thing. I love this. Anyway, let me not get tactile, sensitive, and distracted because I too. No, so don't talk about my palette, but look at this. I really like this palette. The reason I pulled out this palette is it hosts some of my most favorite Urban Decay eyeshadows, and this palette was a very good formula back in the day. Now, this shade in the palette is called Honey. This one, you can see the name Honey. I'm gonna dip in there. It still works. It's still smooth. It's still lovely. Picks up nicely. Boom. But do you see the difference? This is darker. This is a darker shade of Honey, and this one is a lighter shade. This one will more remind you if you're going between, if you're gonna go buy honey and you're gonna buy clover honey, And if it's from the flower, like depends on where the flower, the wild clover leaves, y'all probably lost it. Let's come back, bring you back. Go look in the supermarket. You will see some shades of clover honey that is like a golden yellow like that. But this is the first shade that Urban Decay called honey several years ago, like early 2000s. And it's one of my favorite shadows in the palette. What I did was I swatched several of these. Like the colors that drew my attention in here were golden. And let me see, this is golden. Now this is the honey from the Naked Honey palette. This is honey from that older palette. I'm gonna put golden right next to that. You see, they're not the same. All three are different shades, of different tones that's going on, all of which are warm and beautiful. And I think if you really pick up this palette, you will absolutely love it. Let me just swatch amber as well. This is amber. Do you see that? There are no dupes. So, Joni, I'm gonna call you out. I'm not gonna tell you to go buy it, but I know you. You're gonna wanna have this. So tell your little heart to stop pitter-patter and go, I don't wanna, but. Notice what I'll say. You don't need it, but if you want it, girl, don't you have some Ulta points? That is how I got mine. I did not pay a red cent out of my pocket for this. Okay, I bought this plus several other things that you saw in that haul and walk out of there spending $16. Literally $16. So if you have some Ulta points, honey bunny, put them to use. Go get you a honey palette, because for those of us who've been around YouTube for several years, for a long time, and we have this extensive makeup collection, even though we've given away a lot of things, we've replaced a lot of things, we've thrown out stuff, we still have a supersized large palette collection, and we love our makeup and we use our makeup. So I would tell you, if your heart is pitter-pattering and beating towards this, girl, go get the darn thing and behave yourself. Anyway, that is my roundup for this palette. I try to keep it under 20 minutes, and that is exactly what I've done. Oh, one more shade I wanted to show you guys. So this is the After Dark palette. Not a lot of people, I don't know who has this, but Sinful. This is Sinful from the After Dark palette. I'm going to put it on top here. And who does that remind you of a bit? It's like, this is Sinful and this is Amber. So Amber looks like a more amped up version, like a deeper, warmer version of Sinful. See that? And again, if you do not have like the After Dark palette and a host of all of these other palettes, which none of these have colors that are compared to this. So I would tell you, if you really like it, if those are your shades and tones, none of us need anything, but I wanted it, I didn't need it, but I like it, and I like the fact that I got it. I think it's for the price it's going at. And if you have Ulta points, or wait till the holidays come where Ulta is going to send out those 20% off even on prestige items, because it's not limited edition, go ahead and get it. All right, so that's just me. You don't need it, but if you want it, go ahead and grab it. Anyway, guys, I love you guys dearly. Enough love. Thank you for your time, your love, your patience, and leave your thoughts and comments below. I'm gonna go do my eyes, and we'll talk to y'all later. That is my review. Kisses, enough love. Hit the subscribe button if you already haven't done so. Welcome to the family, to the new subscribers. Bye bye. Until next time, enough love, walk good. Peace.